Yuilop is a new form of communication service. We are mobile app based, so we provide a rich communication user experience, and especially we offer a free communication service via our mobile app, which allows our users to actually communicate with their whole phone book, with all their contacts, with all their Facebook friends for free. So they're independent if the other party that they want to call also uses the app or has a regular old Nokia phone or even a fixed line phone. And they can send them SMS and they can do regular calls to PSTN numbers. And if the other party actually also uses the application, then they get the benefits of having a much richer user experience, which expresses in multimedia messaging, group messaging, different forms of voice communication. So we actually want to provide the user with a great user experience to have conversations with the people he wants to talk to, not just with numbers and contacts. Actually, we want to create a user experience around conversations with other people. That's what we really want to provide. The operators will follow the market, and the market are the end users, and the end users choose the user experiences and the services they want. So if the end users choose services like ours or others, then they will just move to the operator that provides them a free network that they're paying for, because they're paying for access to those kind of services. So if one operator blocks them, then that's obviously a less valuable service that they're getting, and they're moving to other operators. So I think the market dynamics there will themselves regulate the market situation, very similar to what I think happened in the MVNO market in the beginning, where obviously none of the MNOs wanted to open up the markets, and then there's one player that opens up the market, and suddenly everybody follows, and you have an open competitive market. And I think the OTT world, to a certain extent, is very similar to the early stages of MVNO. And today, every operator embraces the MVNOs and sees the potential in collaborating with them and actually creating additional value, and also more efficient forms of offering services to the end users, and different services. It's interesting then, and that's a difference to the MVNO situation, that the OTTs are to a certain extent more independent. Like you can say, I can also enter a market without collaborating, and some OTTs take that approach. Our approach is actually very collaborative, because we bring the best of both worlds together. So we actually unite the telecom interoperability, reachability of everybody with the better user experience from the IP over the top world. So we're collaborating with operators today already in several markets, and we actually even offer a model for the operators to even offer them our service in a white label version, so they can include it into their value proposition and offer it to their end users. So I think we're at the beginning, and we're going to see all different kinds of forms of collaboration. I definitely think so. I mean, the networks are getting better. 4G obviously is even better, but I think it's different on what kind of over-the-top service you're looking at. If you're more talking video, then you're talking more 4G. Actually, for what we are doing, which is voice communication, even video communication and messaging, a good 3G coverage is more than enough. Actually, you can even use the service very well on less than 3G. Edge, for example, works also very well. On GPS, it gets a little bit problematic. But for example, one thing that we work on is on the seamless handover. Well, I don't even want to say handover, but our service works seamlessly over Wi-Fi and 3G. So I actually think 4G is great, but there's another important thing, is the whole Wi-Fi development, offloading to Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi hyper networks. And we are actually working with a partner company on providing this optimization between Wi-Fi and 3G, because we've developed a very innovative voice over IP service where you, for example, you can seamlessly switch from Wi-Fi to 3G, which is not the standard on voice over IP. You can actually even enter an elevator on 3G, come out in the top in your office and continue on Wi-Fi, and that's still working. So yeah, 4G is interesting, Wi-Fi is very interesting, and the better the network, the better the coverage, the better for the over-the-top players, for sure. Because at the end of the day, our quality of service, which is very important for the end user, depends a lot on the quality of the networks. I think the two aspects to that vision, like the business world ecosystem and the end user one. For the ecosystem, I think we will drift, and we already see that in a lot of operators today, that there's more and more companies that operate networks very efficiently. And then there are service providers. Doesn't mean that below one brand, what today is called an operator, could exist both, but definitely organizationally, they're very different animals. So we're going to have one animal which is operating networks very cost efficiently, and the other one is a service department which runs end user services. So something very different, and I think they need to be separated more. So we're going to also see even more wholesale and all those kinds of collaborations. And from an end user perspective, I think we've just seen the beginning. Because now with the decoupling of the service layer from the restrictions of what the network provides in terms of what services I can offer, everybody can develop new services. And actually, the end user develop their own services because they tell us what they want, they tell us what they use. The whole ecosystem moves much faster in the OTT world. So you see shifts, for example, from voice synchronous communication to messaging-based voice messaging communication. And that's just the beginning, I think. So our end user experience always was limited to what the technology gave us. So we thought a phone call is the best thing. But I think there will be all kinds of new forms of communication, what we use it for, and that's going to be very interesting.